Happy 4th of July, everybody. This is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Last Ship, Season 2. The Last Ship is an extremely good show that was on TNT back in the day. I've already talked about Season 1, go watch that, and I've already talked about Episode 1 and 2 of Season 2, go watch that. Season 2 is very good. You can watch The Last Ship on Hulu and also HBO Max. Well, now it's just called Max. It's finally been added to Max. And like I said before, this is based off a book where in the book it differs. In the book, there was nuclear fallout and there was only one last ship in the naval force. It's the last remaining military force in America. In the show, they changed it to a virus, the red virus. They came up with a vaccination in season 1, but in season 2, they are looking for the cure. But there is a huge main problem. And also a problem in this show. While season 2 is very, very good, as point in telling the story, it feels a bit hollow at times. Whereas season 1, you had all these characters, but they still made time to give them a little character development and stuff. In season 2, there is none whatsoever. It lacks character development to the point where the characters feel a bit hollow. They're literally just characters on the show and they're doing things. There's slight character development in some of the characters, but for the most part, only Rachel Scott, the Doctor, and also Captain Chandler are the only ones who get a lot of screen time and somewhat development. But even to the point where Rachel Scott really doesn't get that much character development, and so without character development with your characters, how are you gonna make a successful show and everything? It is the characters that drive the show forward and, their woe is me's and all the stuff and their struggles and stuff. But for the most part, they just feel like characters who are assigned something and they go and they do it. But like I said before, there's only a teeny tiny bit of character development here and there. Ironically, one major problem I have with this show, just overall, no matter what season it is the way it treats its minority diverse cast. It's always the people of color, the women, and the LGBT who take the downfall of the show. They're the ones always messing up. They're the ones always getting shot. They're the ones always dying. And they're the ones always dying in a very surprising manner. And it's just very odd, saying that, you will have only them be the ones that are getting iced out and everything. And it's really disheartening, especially a person of color myself who has to watch this and always seeing them always screwing up in one way or another and stuff. And another problem I have with this season is that it's kind of split into two different story arcs. They're completely different from one another, but are similar at the same time. One story arc literally only happens in the first 2 episodes, and then it's completely done, and then you go to this completely different story arc for the rest of the season. And, they must have realized that, hey, we kind of sped up that one story arc only in 2 episodes really quickly. So let's fix that in the other seasons, because in the other seasons, it's a story arc very similar to the first 2 episodes, being that America's turning on each other government-wise, and they're trying to form a new world order and stuff. And so in the first 2 episodes, which I've already even talked about, which is really no point even really going over, so I'll quickly go over that, is the ramifications towards the end of season 1. So at the very end of season 1, the Nathan Janes come out with a vaccine. They head back to America only to realize America is eating itself apart. There are homeless people on the streets, there are refugees, there are people not trusting folks, and the military, the government, who they're supposed to trust, is actually eliminating people. Grandison's mother, who works for the government, is trying to make a new world order with only the smartest and brightest people, and she's eliminating everybody else, giving out a false like vaccine, killing folks and burning people's body to create like fuel and keep the lights on and stuff like that. Once the Nathan James, she even takes over the Nathan James and stuff, and their crew is now hostage. While they kidnap one soldier who's pregnant because she has antibodies in the womb, and so they are literally gonna cut her open, extract the baby, and take out the T cells and stuff. And like that was gruesome, man. I could not believe that. And so, like always, the Nathan James kicks butt, and they save the day, only for Grandison's mother to commit suicide because she doesn't want to, go to prison and stuff. As a result, her daughter is shot because her daughter had no idea what was going on, and so when she tried to stop everything, she ended up getting shot. She's taken back to Nathan James, and now they have to dish out the vaccine to save people, while also looking for their families and stuff. And so, with episode 3, they're all looking for their families and they're worried. Some are able to find their families while others are not, and other people, family members, die. The one blonde commanding officer, she loses her family to the point where she's really upset and she's talking to Chandler. And I remember when I watched this scene, I didn't know how really to feel about this because as an audience member and watching a TV show, she's pouring her heart out, she's crying, and he's just like standing there next beside her, but he's not comforting her. And I thought to myself, wow, like how come he's acting so emotionless now? I'm like, oh, maybe that's just his military training and stuff. But for a TV show, a normal TV show, you would have somebody comfort them. However, when I watch the behind the scenes stuff, they have consultants on the show who are military. Because, if you're going to have a military show, you need to have it look and feel, militant and stuff. Because one thing about like television shows, just like religious shows, they don't like for their stuff to be handled. Which is why a lot of religious TV shows and movies don't, well, movies do well, but the TV shows don't. Because they take certain liberties. And so when you're making a show about like military or police or firefighters and stuff, you want to make it as accurate as possible. And so they said literally a real commanding officer would not comfort their soldier and stuff by putting their arm around them or hugging them. They would not do that. They have to keep that level of distance and stuff so they don't show favoritism, and also so they don't make a weak officer and everything, thinking that, the captain's always going to have my back and always be there for me and also comfort me and make me all mushy and stuff like that, And so I'm like, okay, now I get it, but when watching this for the first time, it's like it was odd because it's like, you watch TV, you respect that level of comfort, but then you have to remember the type of show you're watching. Because I remember there was a show in Britain that I watched, I think it's called Land Girls or something like that, showing what it was like back during World War II when women had to take over and join the military and join the workforce over in Britain and stuff. And a lot of people over there hate that show because they said it was not accurate to military lifestyle in Britain and stuff. And so, many people are, like I said before, looking for their families and stuff like that. The one pregnant lady, it turns out with little character development she's giving that, whatchamacallem, what character development she's giving, it turns out her and her mom don't get along. So she assumes her mom's out getting drunk and getting hit by the virus and all this stuff. But then it turns out her mom is actually in an arena with other people and help organizing it, keeping people calm and safe with her new boyfriend, and she hasn't drank. So she was very shocked and surprised her mom has stepped up. Then you have Chandler, who brought his family on board the Nathan James. And so then I started thinking to myself, how is this fair? Because his family is safe and secure on the naval ship while everybody else is out in America, scavenging and everything. And so even he comes to the realization, it's not fair. So he has to tell his family, He loves them and everything, but he can't have them on the ship. And this is the last we see of his family this season. And remember, his wife died from the virus. He was so close to giving it to her, but she died. And the only people alive is his son, daughter, and his father. And so with other people, we don't know about their family members and stuff, because now it goes into the new plot of season 2. And there's a reason why I'm not really naming people, because there's really no point. Because this show has a lot of cast members, a lot of main, a lot of recurring, a lot of guests. And like I said before, there's really no character development. Now, I will talk about certain individual characters who are either new to the show or who actually did a lot this season, being of course the captain, and being that of the doctor and stuff, and also the new members. But what exactly is this season about in this second half of the plot and stuff? Well, you have a brand new enemy, and an enemy from season 1. The doctor dude who exposed everybody to the virus by having it mutate with his body and having him being a carrier, being patient 0 and stuff, remodified the virus. He is back. He survived after season 1, and he's been wandering around America. But the main villains is a group of new people. They are the immunes. So just like with any virus, there are always those that are immune to it. And so a group of people spread out from all around the world. So they're a makeshift of people from other countries, not just one. And they feel like God has blessed them by being immune. And they are the new people who are going to guide the world into a new world order and stuff, because so many of the half the world is gone, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of the militaries are gone around the world. America has had so many presidents during this show, and they're about to get a whole bunch more as the show progresses in other seasons and stuff. And so they feel like they are the ones to reshape the world into their new world order. So they're looking for more immunes, and they find that scumbag doctor dude from season 1. And so what they're doing is that they are radicalizing people, mainly in America. See, while the Nathan James is out at sea, because the Nathan James is the only one with the vaccine, so they have to keep it as safe as possible while giving it to people in America to clone it and reproduce it and stuff. So these immune people, they are brainwashing America and stuff, telling them that there is no cure, that the Nathan James is poisoning people with a fake vaccine and making people die. See, what they're doing is that they are purposely infecting people with that scumbag doctor dude, and pretending you can't trust the military, this and that. Ironically, so many Americans are believing them and becoming radicalized, which is no different from what's going on in our country right now and stuff. But the strange thing is that they're listening to foreigners, though. That's what's so bizarre. And so now many people in America have turned their back against the Nathan James. So the Nathan James is not safe. Even when the Nathan James goes on land, and does stuff, they, have a hard time, because now many Americans are shooting at them and stuff and taking their boats and trying to blockade them. And so things are made worse. Remember when I said that Nathan James is the only one with the vaccine, and that they've given it to other medical facilities in America? All of those medical facilities got bombed. They got bombed by the immunes and everything. So now the only cure, not even a cure, the vaccine is on the Nathan James. But of course, many Americans believe it was Nathan James that bombed them. How were the immunes able to bomb them? They have a submarine. And the Nathan James is worried, because even though they have one of the best ships in the Navy, they are no match for a sub. And so, it is literally a cat trying, or no, it's kind of like a mouse trying to fight like a dog and everything, because the sub is a whole lot more powerful and stuff. So the Nathan James is trying their best to like find this one medical ship because it has a better lab. Problem is the immune already hit it, but they're still on board. And they killed so many of the crew. They're trying to take out as many medical facilities around the world as they can. And but mostly just like in America. So this is when we get one of our biggest action scenes from the Nathan James. And this season actually lacks action, which is shocking and bizarre. But whenever they do have action, oh, they make it amazing. And it's really cool how they choreograph stuff, especially from the two new characters they brought into the show, who are part of the Vulture team. The Vulture team is like they're the military officers that do like the land stuff. And the two new officers they have are just like awesome, man. Like I love them. And so this is basically the entire season. It's the Nathan James, cause Chandler is pissed. Like he is pissed, and he wants these immunes bad and want them to like be placed in federal prison. So they are literally hunting down the immunes to the best ability that they can. So it takes them to a part near Florida. And it turns out the new president of the United States is part of the immunes. He's immune himself and he has been radicalized. And it's because he was in like a bad spot when they found him. And it's very shocking to see the brand new president of the United States believing what these people are saying. They're trying to act like holy missionaries and stuff, only for the Nathan James to like infiltrate the immunes and everything by trying to pass as civilians. And so like they are able to kidnap the president, only for the president not to want to listen to anything the Nathan James crew has to say, even though they are treating him to the best of their abilities, but they still have him confined. And it takes a long while to like unbrainwash him and stuff. But Chandler, being the captain that he is and the leader that he is able to talk to this man and get it through his head that he is fighting for the wrong side after that. Because the president hasn't even been sworn in. That's how crazy it's been in America. And so like because of that, he has to make his declaration and everything via broadcast. But the problem is that like the immunes have already broadcast their lies and stuff, and they're the only ones who are able to broadcast stuff throughout like all America. So that causes them to have to find out where the broadcasting is being so they can send the president's broadcast throughout America and know the truth. So it takes them to an oil rig. Who is staying there is some like hacker lady who's working for like the immunes. She thinks she's doing her country a service by working with the immunes because she has no idea the immunes are really the bad guys. It takes a lot and blowing up like the oil rig from the immunes for her to realize, crap, I'm on the wrong side. So the Nathan James, they save her. But there are many people aboard the ship who hate her guts because not only did she work for the immunes, but she cost the lives of some of their crew. And this is what I'm saying, where the minorities are always dying. The brand new female cast member they brought into the show, who is freaking awesome and everything, they killed her after only 6 episodes. She's only been in 6. And it's like, why bring a character who's so awesome, so intriguing, who you could have got so many like great episodes out of, only to kill her off? And they killed her off in the weirdest way. She didn't even die like a warrior. What happened was there was an explosion on the rig. We see her fine on the rig, but then when she get back to Nathan James, apparently she got hit by like the explosion and she dies. Whereas the captain, who literally got hit with shrapnel in his side, lives. And it's like he gets to live, but she has to die, which is not fair because she was such a cool character. And so like now like comes the craziest thing of all. And so it's like I like this, them like hunting down the immunes and everything. And they do battle with the immunes like a lot. Like the immunes are very, very smart. And because they have that sub, they are able to like, not be detected by the Nathan James. And even when they fight each other with their weapons, it's really hard for them to, like, the Nathan James to like pinpoint where, like, the sub is, to the point where they have to trick them onto coming up on surface. Once then, they blow the crap out of that thing. And the vultures, they help because they have like these like missiles on land, and they help, like, blow up like the sub. So some of the immunes are now gone, at least the ones in the sub, but the ones on land, who are controlled by a man named Ramsey. Ramsey is like the leader of the immunes. He is still on land, and he is purposely infecting, like, so many people and stuff. And like, because the way he does it is that, he makes one person sick, and then, they spread to somebody else. Or what they were doing with the other guy, the scumbag dude, is that they would infect like teddy bears and stuff. And then they would give these teddy bears out to little kids. These little kids will, of course, infect other people. So as for the cure, Dr. Scott and, like, the scumbag dude, after they kidnap him, they began working on the cure. She's trying to figure out how in the world was he able to infect everybody at such a fast rate. It turns out the virus is in his lungs. All he has to do is breathe. She was gonna create a cure, like an aerosol type thing, and spray it around the world, but that would have took too long. She realizes, why don't I just re-engineer the cure, and, like, to the point where it becomes an infection. So the cure is literally an infection, and people can just breathe it onto another person like the common cold. But in order to do this, she has to like isolate like something within that scumbag dude's cells. So she does something unprecedented. She creates some type of retro, like, unimmunity type thing, and she secretly injects it into the dude's IV. And so he literally dies while she's the only person in the room, and she's just standing there looking at him because she's pissed at him because he infected the entire world, and he also worked with the people who killed her friend. And so, like, because of that, she's able to extract what she needs. The only problem is the other doctor who was on that medical ship realized what she did and knew that it was unethical and everything. So he has to inform the Nathan James. He tells her, you only have a short amount of time to work on your cure before, the guards come get you and everything. So she's racing for dire strength, trying to like find this cure. And so she injects herself with it right before the security guards come. Chandler is pissed at her, and because she murdered that scumbag Dr. Dude. But the dude was like an evil person, and other people on the ship didn't really care that he's dead because they wanted him dead too. But Chandler is by the books, and he will not deviate from that. So he places her under arrest, but he wants her to finish working on the cure and everything. And so this was like really shocking because it's kind of like this dude killed half the population of people, killed his wife, but like, he's still gonna follow the books and everything and do what he needs to do. He said that he hates that man, but even he's able to talk to him, even though that man killed his wife, and she should have done the same. Luckily, her cure works, and it is the cure and everything. And she's able to just pass it on by touching the person, breathing on them, kissing their cheek, whatever. And so she has to give the boosters to everybody on the ship so they can contact the people on land. Only problem is the people on land don't trust them and everything. But they are able to get the president's message out. And this is some reassurance. Only for the Master Chief, I hate when they make the minority screw up. He tells his family to stay put, like he's worried, you know what I'm saying? Somebody overheard him on the radio, so now there's not a big turnout for the people, trying to get the cure. And so they have to devise two type of cures, the aerosol and just breathing on people. So they head to land and they're finally able to convince some people, but everybody's trying to shoot at them, only for the aerosol thing to like spray down, and they start believing in that. And the way they administer cure by just breathing on people is very fascinating. I really like how it's choreographed. It's just them slowly, gently touching a person's hand, touching their cheek. They drink some water, give it to them, bottled water and stuff to pass on like the cure. But of course, they just kind of pass on more germs if they just swigging water from people. But I've always wondered when it comes to cures, how come cures aren't like, injected in people to the point where re-engineering it to infect people? It's probably because one, they're unable to do that, and two, you ever notice like when you take something like Tylenol, right, and it's supposed to cure headaches, um, sniffles, fever, stuff like that, but you only take it for say like a headache. Well, everything else is supposed to cure. It will actually cause you more problems. So that's probably why they don't do a cure like that, because it will affect other people's symptoms in a way that it's not supposed to. And of course, there are some people who can't even take it because they will be immune compromised and stuff. So it's an interesting way, but it probably should be best left in fiction and stuff. But I do like the way that they choreograph that, just them gently touching the person and stuff like that. And they're able to stop all like the bad guys except for one. One of the bad guys end up escaping, and this is one of the most shocking deaths other than all the other two that I saw this season. So all the officers, they're like in their dress uniforms, they're celebrating, they're drinking, they're toasting the people who passed away, and like they're having a great time. They just saved the world again, what I'm saying? Then you have Rachel, Scott, and Chandler. They're talking. The president has pardoned her and everything. It's like a weird thing going on between Chandler and Scott. The way they look at each other and talk to each other is almost like they're starting a romance, but not really. Like will they, won't they be thing. But just remember, his wife literally died just last season, and so that's kind of weird. So she parts from him, and then there's a guy talking to her dressed in rags. She realizes this dude shouldn't be there, and then he shoots her and everything. Point blank, you see him shooting her on screen, and then it ends. And so the question is, will she survive next season or will she not? Even the creators of the show saying they don't know, you have to stay tuned. They killed her and everything. I was shocked because okay, here's the thing. Remember I said when I first started watching this show, I started watching it in season 3, and in season 3 she was not there. So when I started watching season 1 and 2, I was shocked to find that there was this character from a famous actress and everything. And I was very weirded out by that. So I'm like, okay, she must not survive or something like that. Because at the end they say she was supposed to go to another part of the country and help cure them and stuff. So I thought, okay, maybe they wrote her out. But no, they point blank killed her behind. And nobody on the show will explain why they killed her character off. And with the post she made on Instagram years ago, it makes it seem like this wasn't always the case. I believe something shady happened behind the scenes and they decided to kill her off. What that shady thing is, nobody knows. They won't explain. Maybe she didn't get along with the other people on the show. Maybe she was treated badly. I know the guy who plays Chandler is also a producer on the show, and he was going through his own demons all throughout the entirety of the 5 seasons of this show. Both demons in the bottle and stuff going on in his marriage. So there is no telling what happened that caused her to be killed off the show. And it was very, very shocking, even to the point where she had no funeral and she was never mentioned again throughout the rest of the series and stuff, which is really odd and bizarre. Because one thing about this show that bugged me in season 2 is that, like I said before, it felt hollow. There's really not that much emotion. When characters die, they will grieve within those first couple of seconds, but then after that, everything's just peachy keen and they're right back to who they are. They don't grieve the way a normal show would grieve and stuff, like when they lose their loved ones or like a comrade and stuff. And it's very odd and stuff. Maybe once again it's just that military training, or maybe it's just because, like I said before, there is a lack of development and emotion this entire series. So let's get into a couple of characters that are, like, front and center and who are new to the show. Captain Tom Chandler is a lot more driven this season. He's a man grappling with, should he stay and protect his family because he's thinking about retiring, or should he keep the fight up and find a cure and help save the rest of the world? Well, after he departs from his family and stuff, he decides he's still going to command that of the Nathan James. But when he hears of the Immunes and how they're taking out all the medical facilities, he is a man bent on revenge and he hunts them down. Especially when he finds out that the president, the brand new president, it has been radicalized and has joined the Immunes. The thing about Chandler is that he's just not like a hands-on man who can take you down in a fight or shoot you up and stuff. Like a good captain, he knows how to talk to people to calm them down. He realizes violence isn't always going to be the answer, and most people don't respond well to that, but he tries to tap into people's humanity, and he does that a number of times this season, actually about like 3, to people who have literally been radicalized by the Immunes. He's a really great captain, and he reminds me a lot of like a Star Trek captain and stuff. Rachel Scott, she is kind of bops in and out. She just stays there doing medical stuff. She's pissed because the Immunes killed her best friend, and he might have been like her lover or something like that. The whole her and Tex thing is pretty much non-existent this season as it was last season. The way she constantly keeps looking at Chandler, you really do think there's something going on between them, but there's nothing really going on. She murders that scumbag of a doctor and finds a way to infect people with the cure. It is because of her she has saved the world not only once, but now twice. And she got in trouble for killing that scumbag of a doctor, but later pardoned. Then they killed her off in the finale, which, like I said before, I still don't know why that happened. President Jeff Mincer is the 47th president in this series, and this man started off as being very stupid and disgusting. He gets brainwashed by a bunch of foreigners, the Immunes, to where he wants to help them in their new world order, but he does not know their full extent. He doesn't know they're going around murdering people. And so, because he is immune himself, after the Nathan James rescues him, he does not want to comply with them, and he even has a flash drive that he tries to set up on the computer so they can, like, help screw up the Nathan James. For whatever reason, he has not believed in his own military or his own country, which is very bizarre that he would get radicalized like that. But then, thankfully, because of Chandler, he is able to talk to him and let him know what you're doing is wrong. Him and Chandler talk, and it turns out that, like, one reason why he gave up and listened to the Immunes is because they found him in a bad spot. See, what happened was during the outbreak of the, because he used to be Secretary of State. And so during the outbreak, he told his son to come fly back. His son, he did not know, was infected. So when his son was around all these healthy people in the arena, they all got infected and they all died, including that of his wife. And I think 2 twin daughters. And so as the daughters were sick, the wife told him that, we need to take the daughters out. They don't want them to suffer no more. He didn't want to, but then he obliged and smothered them. And then, of course, his wife died later on. After that, he just wandered around, hoping to find a different strand of the virus so he won't be immune to it, but could not find it. Then he found the Immunes. So after he was rescued, he started acting presidential once he got with the Nathan James, and they got his head back on straight. Talking to the American people, telling them that, they have the cure and everything will be all right. Once they're back on land, he is sworn in, but, don't get used to him because in the 3rd season, he gets taken out very soon. And then they get another president and another president. This show goes through presidents like a person goes through underwear, man. Like I'm telling you. The Immunes, they have decided that they are the New World Order, infecting people, led by the Ramsey brothers. And so, like, they feel like it's their mission, people they gather around the world to reshape the world. And they're doing it by murdering people and only keeping those that are, like, either immune, just like them, which isn't going to be many people to repopulate the world. Plus, all the immunes are all male. I haven't found a single female in the show to repopulate the world. So they're just very stupid. Let's just put it like that. They befriend that scumbag of a doctor. And so, like, with him, they infect tons and tons and tons of people. They are destroying as many vaccines as they can get their hands on and stuff, but they are literally taken down by the Nathan James because they are in a submarine. They have the advantage because they are in a sub, but it's only when they resurface they get their butts kicked. I'm not sure how to say her name. Lieutenant Ravent Bives. She is not even American, from the Israeli Defense Forces, but she joins the Nathan James along with Wolf. She is extremely cool. This is how you write a strong female character in the modern day. She just comes in and she just starts like whooping behind. She's tough. She doesn't take no crap. When they have to infiltrate the medical ship and the bad guys are there, like, you know, she just puts on a lab coat, pretending to be one of the doctors, and then takes them out, giving her team a chance to, like, you know, come in for like a distraction and everything. And she's just extremely tough, and she's very charismatic and everything. She has this very uniqueness to her and stuff. She can just walk into a room and then all of a sudden, like, you know, like there's just like you feel something radiating through like the screen because she has this presence to her, especially in the way she talks. And she has a flirtatious romance with that of like Carlton Burke, because he is very smitten by her when he sees her, but she won't let him have him. But then she flirts with him from time to time when he breaks his nose, and she kisses him only to re-break it, readjust it back. And then, like, you know, she wants to take a shower. He's in there brushing his teeth, and she's all like, well, you want to shower together? He's just kind of like, we can't do nothing because we're on the same ship. So she's like, all right, then you ain't getting nothing tonight. But then they made the bizarre decision to kill her off, and she was only in 6 episodes. And the way she died was just so bizarre. Like I said before, she was on the oil rig. It exploded, but we saw her completely fine. But then when she's back on the ship, all of a sudden she just dies. I don't understand why creating such an interesting character like this if they wasn't going to do anything with her. And as for Burke, he pretty much just does nothing but just like likes her and doesn't know how to act around her and stuff because she teases him a lot. Petty Officer Wolf Tyler. He is brand new this season, and he's actually not American. He's actually part of the Australian Royal Navy, but he's attached to the US Navy and stuff. And they find him along with his best friend, who acts like his sister, in season 2. And so he joins Nathan James, and this dude is great in hand-to-hand combat. He is extremely tough, and he knows several martial arts, and he's proficient in like a gun. Other than that, we don't know nothing about this dude. He is part of the Vulture team and stuff like that, who does the like on-ground missions and things, but other than that, he has absolutely no personality other than being quiet and stealthy, and no character arc whatsoever. Ray Diaz, he's a brand new character. He's around 17 years old, and they find him with a group of like teenage survivors and stuff. And he's kind of like their designated leader who helps take care of them during the outbreak. So when the Nathan James Vulture Squad was out there looking for something, they encountered these young people who are armed to the teeth. Chandler who is a great like talker to people. He's able to calm them down, but especially that of Diaz and stuff. And so like because of that, he wants to help out. And but of course Chandler won't let him, but he tells him, almost at the age of enlisting in a way, he really wants to help, fight the bad guys and stuff. Well, he does help try to save one of his like friends when one of his friends decide he's going to help out as well, because Chandler actually allows him to help out. So, but one of his friends kind of stowed away back on the island when they were supposed to contact that of like, the immunes. See, the immunes had like a bounty on the head of any naval officers and stuff. And these kids originally was gonna collect on that. So after he helped save Chandler's life by killing one of the bad guys, he just pretty much just stays on the ship and just being like a regular person, kind of like a background character. In later seasons, he will in fact enlist and everything and become an officer. Tex really doesn't do much this season. Basically, he's just there being charismatic. You can tell he still likes the doctor, but you can tell that he knows that she has eyes for somebody else, and so he just backs off. Other than that, he goes and finds his daughter, and that's literally just it. His action scenes are always pretty cool because he's always blowing up the bad guys and stuff. Catherine Nolan. Her nickname is Cupid. She is Tech's daughter, and we meet her at the end of the finale of the second season. Basically, she's hiding out with her mom and a complete stranger, but her mom succumbed to that of the virus. We don't know much about her this season, but we do know from the person she was staying with, when some people tried to like break into the home and loot them, she shot the crap out of them. In later seasons, she does join, I believe, the Air Force, and she pilots like a plane or something like that. But like she is played by a very gifted dancer. Her name is Jade Chanelwit. And when I say she's an amazing dancer, like y'all have no idea. Y'all gotta look her up on YouTube. Allison Grandison, she had a really interesting arc in the beginning when her mom tried to take over the United States. And so she would not go along with that and ended up getting shot. As a result, like she felt terrible, but they let her keep her commission because she had nothing to do with that. And then she worried if like her roommate would not like accept her anymore. Other than that, they did absolutely nothing with her. You would assume she would be grieving over her mother's loss, but you never see her grieve over it. That's the thing about this season. They wrote these people so hollow this season. When one of her crewmates ended up getting killed, she actually showed some grievance towards him. No, they're not romantically linked. It hasn't been revealed yet she's a lesbian. But she was upset and she took it a little bit out on that one girl who was like the computer hacker person who worked with that of the immunes and stuff. Other than that, she does nothing. Valerie is the one who broadcasts all the stuff over the network, and she's the one that Nathan James like rescued from the immunes because she was the one on an oil rig. She has a snarky, like punker type personality, but she remains on the ship to help them broadcast the president's message. She only appears in like the first episode of season 3, and then she's like gone. Master Chief Russell Jeter. He does not do much of anything this season. He literally pops in, he'll pop out. He's really excited to have the president on board, and he believes fully in the president. The president is still radicalized, and Chandler doesn't quite believe in the president yet. And towards the end, he screws up by like telling like his step family. That's the what is they call it? Like stepson? Yeah, stepson family. No, father-in-law and mother-in-law. That's what the in-laws. He tells them to like stay put and don't come, to the shoreline and stuff like that, because he says it's not safe, being because the immunes and stuff. And when people overhear this on the radio, they don't really turn out to get cured and stuff. And he blames himself, and the president blames him. And I don't like how they wrote that. They always write the minorities as like screwing up. And it's just so low down. Andrea Garnett pretty much has the same role as that the first XO commanding officer. And basically in the first couple episodes they're just looking for their family. She looks for hers, finds out they're dead, she cries over it, and that is literally it. Then she's assigned to find out how did that scumbag doctor dude die. Other than that, like I said before, there is no character development, and she pops completely out this show. I have forgot she was even in it when she came back in towards the end. She's Grandison's roommate, and she tells her, I'm not gonna let you resign, nothing like that. You can still stay, but other than that, she does nothing. Danny and Cara, they don't do much this season. In fact, they kind of just disappear from the show. Like Cara, she had her big epic episode in the first two when she was kidnapped and they tried to take her baby from within her womb and everything to find like a cure. After that, we pretty much just see Danny doing the Vulture Squad type stuff, and but he's just there. There's no character development whatsoever. These two actually don't even interact that much on the show. They only have 3 appearances together, and it's very brief. But in the finale, he actually proposes to her, and she accepts. And it's so weird because these characters have so much to do in the first season, but they're just basically background characters or recurring characters. All these officers right here, and even the cook, and I think her name is Beatrice and stuff, they are pretty much just relegated to being background characters. They pop in, they pop out, they might say one word, and that's literally about it. Beatrice, I think that's her name, the girl who was immune the first season, who helped find the vaccination and stuff. She just helps Dr. Scott in the laboratory and stuff. But in all honesty, her entire role ended in the first season. So I'm not really sure why she was there in the second season and stuff, because she doesn't do much of anything in the second, and she disappears along with the cook in the third season. The cook doesn't reappear until probably the 5th season or something. But the cook, his thing is he's really excited to see the president on board the ship and stuff. So yeah, in terms of character development and everything, it was so strange this season because it was non-existent. And that's really peculiar for a television show because you need character development. There was so much in season 1. I don't know why they decided not to have it in season 2. But like I said before, season 2 is very, very good. The show only starts to suck once you get around season 4 or maybe season 5. I think it's season 5. I know for season 5, I really did not like that season at all. But this is a really, really excellent show. And the DVDs, which are always sold out, are very expensive. But the thing about this show that's fascinating is that, you look at it, 'cause this was before COVID and everything, so you look at it thinking, my God, could this ever happen to us? What will happen to our military and all this other stuff, And what people, and we saw what happened during COVID and everything, and how people reacted to it. And, but this is a more grim situation with, a sci-fi type virus. And, it's shocking how the world fell so quickly on this show, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost now thinking after COVID has happened and what we all went through, it's my God, well, we have ended up like those people and stuff in desperate need, listening to whatever crazy person tells us something. Because the thing about the immunes is that they tapped into people's fear and desire. The thing about New World Orders is that you can tickle a person's fancy by offering them the things they need: shelter, food, water, and civilization. A sense of normacy. And that's the worst thing about like these thinking little like drug lordy type people, like the immunes. They prey on that stuff, from a society that was like, in dire need. Thankfully though, the heroes of the show said everything right. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.